Hi, I'm Scott from Wood Lake Nature Center. I'm the naturalist and beekeeper at Wood Lake, and today we're going to make rolled beeswax candles. Now, the beeswax comes from the honeycomb. After we extract the honey out of the comb, we can take the wax that's left, and the worker bees actually secrete wax from wax glands on their abdomens, work it with their feet and their mouth, and then form the little honeycomb shape to make the little hexagon cells that they store their honey in. So after the honey is gone, we can take that wax and actually melt it down and have it formed into sheets. And when we do that, it's a sheet that looks like this, which is actually a sheet of foundation for the bees to build the next year. So I've cut the sheets in half to make them a good size. And you'll notice this one is a little hazy. This one's really bright and colorful. The haze comes from wax that sits a little too long and it develops bloom. So I'm going to show you how you can get the bloom off of there in just a moment. But you'll see here that we have 10 pieces of wax. That's 10 candles worth of wax. And it costs the bees 8 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of wax. That's 10 candles worth. So there's a lot of energy that goes into the wax, which is why it is a wonderful product made by the bees, completely pure and natural. And as the candle burns, it consumes the wax completely. And so there's no smoking, no dripping. And as long as you roll the candle nice and tightly, they are just wonderful and beautiful. And they even smell like honey. So here I've got one of those pieces of wax, and you can see it's got that haze, not quite as bright. And even if you store your candles for a while, the way you get rid of that is just using a hair dryer, a little bit of heat, or you can set them in a sunny window. Be careful not to heat the wax too much so it melts. But just holding it a couple inches above the wax, heat the wax gently, and you'll notice the bloom disappears. And the vibrant color of the wax comes through. Now you need to do that on both sides. And this happens to all beeswax after it sits for several months. So now you can see the wax is a beautiful vibrant color. And if the wax is a little bit stiff, a little bit brittle, just heating it up like that makes it really pliable and great for rolling your candles. So all I'm going to do is take a piece of cotton wick. I'm going to place it on one of the edges. Notice if there is a defect in your piece of wax, a lot of times in transport, a little corner will break off. Put that to the inside of the candle right next to the wick. It won't matter because it's going to be completely hidden. I'm just going to push the wick down onto the candle. It'll kind of stick to the wax. Then I'm going to take my thumbs and curl the wax edge up, just peeling it up gently, and stick it down nice and tight on the wick. You want to get that first curl nice and tight and push down on the wick so the wick does not slip out of the candle and the wax is in contact with the wick. So that once it begins to melt, the wick will absorb the wax and burn it. So once you get that in there, you can tug on it just a little bit, make sure it's held good. Then it's just a matter of slowly taking your time and rolling the candle. You'll notice these little hexagonal markings that are pressed into the wax. You'll see they kind of go in rows. So just do it a row or two at a time, watching the bottom edge to make sure that you're rolling it nice and evenly, not on an angle. Take your time starting out. And you'll notice if you're doing this on a kitchen table, I've got a piece of wax paper underneath. If you do it right on your tabletop surface, there could be a little wax residue that'll get stuck on there, which is not impossible to remove, but it is a little bit of a bother. So to avoid getting wax residue on your table, just do this on a piece of wax paper. And once you get about halfway, then it's much easier to just continue rolling. You don't have to be quite so careful. And when you're done rolling, take your thumb, just use the heat of your hand and press that in to the wax so that it securely adheres to the candle and doesn't come undone. And there you have a beautiful pillar candle. Now to fit it in a standard candle holder, you just have to squeeze the bottom a little bit like this. And then it will fit inside your standard candle holder just like that. Now I've got two styles that I'm going to show you today. This is the pillar candle, which is more durable if you're going to be using these as gifts and either shipping them or taking them to grandma's house, whatever. These are much more durable and they're just as beautiful. Both candle styles have the same amount of wax, same amount of burn time. In this next taper candle, which makes a candle that looks like this, a little bit more elegant, a little bit taller, but again, much more fragile, especially this very fine end at the top. But the process is the same. Put the long edge toward you. That's where you're going to put your wick. I'm going to heat this up just a little bit today to make it a little more pliable. The wax has been in a cool room. If you have a nice warm room in your house, that would be the perfect place to roll these, maybe in the kitchen or in a craft room. But if it seems a little stiff, you can just heat it up a little bit with a hairdryer. Or again, like I said, in front of a sunny window, let the sun warm it up. That works too. Press the wick in. Well, these are a little bit more difficult to roll because they're just a little bit longer. Same process though, exactly. Just use your thumbs to fold over, pick up the wax and fold it over the wick exactly as we did with the other candle. Make sure you push it down nice. And if the wax tends to crack just a little bit because you're making such a tight curve with this, it doesn't matter. Remember, that's going to be in the center of the candle. Nobody's ever going to see that. And when you get up here to the end, be especially careful because of that very delicate top edge. Now we'll trim the wicks down to about 1/4 inch before burning. But there we have that all the way in. I'm going to check it. It's nice and tight. The wick's not going to slip out. And now, again, the process of just rolling a little bit at a time. Being careful to be nice and straight. And as we go here, watch your bottom edge to make sure you're rolling nice and straight, and you got to catch up all the way along. Again, using those hexagonal rows kind of as a guide as you go. And you'll notice that this top end, as I roll the bottom, it wants to lift up just a little bit. So remember to keep that down flat. And again, take your time for the first half of the candle so you get it nice and even. And then once you've got about half of the candle rolled, then it starts to go much quicker. You can spread your hands out a little bit. Watching this edge, see how nice and straight it's rolling there. All the way to the end. And then again, with your thumb, push the wax down so that it doesn't come. You don't have to do that all the way up the candle. If it's sticking out kind of funny in a couple spots, you can just sort of stick it down, make sure that's not going to come apart. Don't push too hard or you'll squish it and actually make the candle look a little funny. But there we have a beautiful tall taper candle. And again, squish the bottom. You can squish it as much as you need to fit it into your standard candle holder. But kind of warm it up with your hand and squish that in. And then it'll fit. So there's two beautiful, same amount of wax, beautifully burning, no dripping, no smoke, wonderful pure beeswax candles that you can roll at home. It's a fun craft. All ages can do it. And we have kits available to be picked up at the Nature Center. You can follow the link below to order. It'll take you to a website where you can order a candle kit. It's got 2 sheets of wax and 2 wicks, enough to make 2 candles. And register for them online, pay online. You'll get a notification. You can pick them up here at the Nature Center. There'll be advertised times when you can do that. So this would be a great holiday craft, keep the kids busy, and they make beautiful holiday gifts. Thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed making rolled beeswax candles.